Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts, Tom Vasel and Sam Healey.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Zee Garcia. Hello.
Sam Healey, what's up, y'all?
Now, just last week, you saw us do a top 10 anticipated games for Essen Spiel, which is still next week. Well, right after we recorded that video,
couple of days,
this game showed up, and we have since played it. This was on all three of our lists. It was number one on both of yours, right?
Was it?
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
remember.
very high, and it was higher on my list too. This is a game that was claimed, and when it first came out, it was a 4X game: exploit, exterminate, expand, and expire.
Exterminate.
Exterminate.
You said that.
Expand, exploit, exterminate.
Expand. Oh, expand. Sorry, you said that one already.
Stop saying the same thing I'm saying.
Expand, exploit, exterminate, and excavate.
Extinguish.
We are bad at the 4X's, man.
Expand goes out.
It's explore.
Explore goes out. Expand is technology. Exploit is...
And exterminate. Okay, there we go. There we go. We were missing explore. Oh, man. Let us explore
That's made me cry
how we feel
inside a
about
little
this
bit.
game then.
I don't think you knew it until...
I had to think.
Okay. Anyhow, it's a card game. This is from Portal Games, and you guys had played a prototype way back when.
Yeah.
Although the final game here is fairly different from that.
Yeah.
It's a quick card game. It's mostly all cards. Well, here, I'll just show you. The goal of this game, of course, is to get the most points. You're going to start with a different race: the community, the clone clans, bionics, the league, episcopacy, the Star Union, and so whichever one you pick. So let's say I decide to start with the clone clans. So I put this card in front of me. This is the main part of my board, but I'm also going to find a starting card that matches them. This will show you what you have under setup. So this one puts 4 cards here under construction, 4 of the blue cards. There's blue, red, and green cards. These are planet cards, technology cards, and ship cards. So you can see that if I was playing with one of the other ones, let's say I was playing with Bionic, I would start with 1 ship under construction, 1 of 2 blues, which means I could draw 2 blues and pick one of them, and 1 green. And sometimes you have stuff that's, you can already have 1 operational ship, so someone might start with a ship already on the table. Now, when you look at your board that you have, you're going to have this side here is your construction side. All cards here haven't been built. Cards all have 2 sides to them. Any card here can be built to go to either side, and you have 3 columns for them. Over here is where your planets, technology, and spaceships go, and when they come over to that side, you're going to have to pick which side that they go on. Players are going to be taking turns around during this game, and it's all going to be kind of using this deck here of resources. Now this deck has 3 different resources: the blue, red, and green resources. There's also yellow ones in here which are essentially wild, and players are going to be playing these to do different things. However, in this game there's what we call an assembly limit, and you're going to have a handful of 3 cards. You can only ever play 2 cards together, so I might play these 2 together to get 3 reds, or I might play these together to get 5 blues, but I can't play all 3 cards together even if I have the symbols on them. So that's going to matter as the game goes by. You have many different actions that you can take on your turn. There's a little thing here that lists them. We have basic actions and operational actions. The main difference between those is in basic actions, you can use the wilds, the yellows. You can't use those in operational or special actions. So let's talk about the basic actions first. One of the actions you can do is you can buy a card. You can always buy the top card of a pile by paying 5 money. You have money here that you can go as high as 15, and so you can spend money to buy a card. If you don't like the top card, you can try to dig for more cards. You just pay 1 for each more card that you want to do. So I could pay 7, so 5 for the first card, 6, 7, draw 3 cards, and then pick one of those to keep discarding the other 2. So I might buy this one and put it here. So that's what a buy action does. Then you have the build a ship, develop a technology, discover a planet. Each of these acts in the same way. You're taking a card and bringing it over here. You need to pay 5 of the resource that's there, 5 green, 5 blue, or 5 red, plus 1 for each one that you already have over here. So if I bring this over here and build a ship, the next time I bring a ship over, I'm going to have to pay 6 red to do so. Since you can only play 2 cards from your hand as an assembly line, that can be problematic. However, you can always play cards underneath and kind of start building something with the deck of cards. So let's say there was already 3 ships over here, so I need to pay 8 to move red over. Well, I don't have 8 in my hand. In fact, I only have 4, so I can put some under here, and it's kind of under construction. And that would be my whole action for that turn. And then later on, I can finish that to bring it over. So when you bring a card over, it's going to be different depending on which one that you do. When you bring a green planet card over, you have 2 choices. You can bring this card over and leave it on this side, the logistics side, and when you do that, it's going to give you a benefit for the rest of the game. This reduces the card to discover new planets by 2. So instead of costing a base of 5, it would only cost a base of 3. I can have multiples of these. And so these are going to just basically reduce the costs if you do them that way. This is 2 blues, 2 reds, and this is 2 money when you're buying cards from the middle. So you can bring them over that way. Or you can bring them over and exploit the planet. When you bring that over, you will draw 3 resources off the top of the deck. Each planet has a symbol. You're going to look to see if that symbol's matched on the cards. If it is, that's the kind of resource that you get. Otherwise, you take the smaller of the 2 resources if they're the same size you pick. So these are the resources on this planet. This is if I have a bigger hand. It doesn't let me play more cards, but when I play cards, I can pull them from here, from this planet, in the future. The blue ones, when I bring them over, it gives me a special, maybe this one here gives me a specific action that I can do. This one lets me spend 6 resources to get points and ignoring the assembly limits. That's cool. So these are going to give you special things, the blue side, or it can give me points. There's points for the end of the game, so this means I have 4 blue cards in play, 4 logistic blue cards, that's this side, the logistics side, or 4 logistics of a different type with these symbols. And those are going to give me points at the end of the game. I can also get points right now. As soon as you play the card, you draw the top card from the resource deck, and if either of these symbols matches that, which this one does, then I would also immediately score a few more points. When you bring a ship over, it's going to be a technology to help increase your assembly limit. So for example, this increases your assembly limit when building a ship action by 1. So I can play 3 cards now when building a red ship. Or this one does it when I do the trade action. And sometimes when you build them, you also get a defense plan. And there's a pile of defense plans, and I'll talk about them in just a second. If you bring it over as a ship, you will immediately attack somebody. You can attack either the aliens or you can attack another player. When you attack someone, you're going to go up against their defense plan. Now, the aliens have a defense plan that's already out there, and that's going to change. Every time you attack them, you'll discard it and draw a new one. Other players have a basic defense plan that you will use unless they have one in their hand, which they can play and use that one instead. Regardless, you'll draw the top card of the deck and look at the number. This is the only time these numbers are really used. And see, so here, let's say I'm attacking another player. They're using the base defense plan. I would put 2 blockade tokens on a defender cards. These blockade tokens shut these cards down if they were over here, and they act as if they're blank. And the other player will have to take one of their basic actions is to remove these, but it costs you 1 money for each one of those that you remove. So that's what that would do. That's the basic defense plan. If they had another defense plan that they could use, like this one here, the ship would be damaged. Damaged ships just get put back here. Sometimes ships are destroyed. They immediately pulled from the board. But this one would cause you to maybe lose money or get money depending on what is rolled here or what is pulled from the deck. When you attack the aliens, it's a very similar thing. Sometimes it will destroy your ship. Sometimes it will give you cards for free. And sometimes it will give you alien artifacts. Alien artifacts are fantastic cards. If you get them, they do amazing things. Like this lets you do 2 buy actions for free. This at the end of the game counts this card as 1 card for the purpose of any end game scoring. This gives you $15. These are really cool cards. There are sometimes 1-use cards that you can use. This one here, it gives you 6 yellow, and you can use them at a turn, not on your turn, as like a quick action. Now, after you're done attacking, then the ship will just stay here on that side. Those are the basic actions. The last basic action, which I didn't mention, is getting money. You can just discard cards from hand, following the assembly limit, and take 1 coin. As long as they're all the same type, you just pick the type, discard them. At the end of your turn, you're going to discard down to as few cards as you want and then draw back up to 3 and keep going. So let's talk about these operational actions. There's one for each one. These are basically doing the same thing again. If you do the green one, you discard 5 green icons, and each planet that you have out like this gets another resource added to it. If you discard 5 blue ones, each blue card here, you draw a card from it and see if you do the scoring again. If you do it for the military one, each ship will make an attack. And then finally, if you remember at the beginning of the game, you get these cards. So here's the one for the guys out here, the Bionics. There's this setup, but there's also a skill. And here they can spend 8 yellows to gain an alien artifact. They can ignore the assembly limit for doing this too. You get 8 yellows, you pull it off, you get an artifact. Everyone has a special ability they can do. And then they also have endgame scoring, which is going to be different. So the Bionics get a point for each red, blue, or green card of different type in your empire. While the clone clans are all about technology, they get 1 for each logistics blue and 1 for each expansion card in your empire. And most of the cards in this game, as you can see here, have keywords on them. So this is an operational extermination ship. And that's it. You're going to keep playing. This deck is going to be depleted during the game, the resource deck. When this is depleted, you're going to move it down. So 2 players, the marker will move here. When the marker is finished the last time, the game will end. Everyone gets equal number of turns. So the more players, the more times you'll go through the deck. You'll have gotten points throughout the game. At the end of the game, you get 1 point for every card over here. Your cards under construction don't count. And then you also get points for your blue cards end of game and for your special card that you have here for the bonus points you get on it. Whoever has the most points is the winner of the game.
Okay, well, a lot to talk about, but let's go talk about the one thing. Portal gets a knock all the time on their rule books. In fact, to the point where they have these big watch it plays here. So you
don't need to read the rule book.
Stop talking about it. Let's just say that.
The rule book for this one is fine. You will understand the game from this rule book.
Pretty good, I think.
So that's a positive. And also, the quality of the cards and the quality of the components are good. I love this cover a lot.
I do too.
But I'm not as sold on the artwork. You said you like the artwork, but for me,
I do like the artwork a lot.
people felt lifeless. I almost would rather. I don't know. They looked very similar to ones from Police Precinct, actually.
No, they did not. I disagree highly with that remark.
Well, I don't really like the spaceships that much. I feel they all look very samey. I like the iconography. I like the graphic design of the game. The art I was okay with.
I like the artwork in it, but it is stylized. I get what you're saying. They do look anime-ish almost.
Maybe that's what I mean.
Not cartoony anime, but like grown-up adult anime kind of. That sounds weird. I'm going into bad territory there.
They look like video game
characters. Back off of that statement right quick.
Yeah. But a good video game.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it looks great.
Maybe it's just me.
And then the other cards have they almost look like little prototype drawings, like not fully realized.
Yeah.
Like it's a rendering before they're putting it in the computer or something. Mm-hmm. I like the artwork a lot in the game. I think the whole thing
the ships looked more interesting.
They look realistic.
Yeah, again, I like it. But anyway, he's not a big fan of the look.
Look like they're not streamlined.
Okay, well, anyway, that's a minor thing. Let's talk about how the game plays. The game is 2 to 4 players, I think.
It is.
Can it go up to 5?
2 to 4, yeah.
2 to 4. What do you think about that player count?
2 to 5.
It is wicked fast as a 2-player game. Almost too fast, because it's like you get done with your turn and then you pull up and it's your turn again. And you didn't get a chance to see, but you didn't get a chance to see what your opponent was doing. You kind of have to wait and look at what they did and kind of remember what it was beforehand, and then go back, because literally, especially if your opponent is on the ball, that it's like you get done with your turn and they go boom, 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 I'm done, your turn again. And I'm like, okay, what did you do?
It feels like a nice big compliment to you, actually, what he's saying here.
It's just, that's the way it is. But it's not that it's a bad thing. It's good that it plays that fast. And there's like no downtime whatsoever. But I do like to kind of take it easy and
So you'd rather play with more players?
No, you're jumping to a conclusion at that point. I'm not saying that. I would like to. I like the 2-player game, but I would like to
play with actually slower people. That's crazy talk.
No. I would consciously make the effort to not play as fast.
Right.
Not play slow.
Just make sure everyone has a chance to see you, is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay.
See what's going on. Right. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
I think that's a feature of the game, though, is how quick turns are.
Yeah.
I'm not as sold on the 4-player game, though, because turns are quick. And this is one of those games where it's quick, and then someone gets a turn, they're like, hang on.
And every now and then you will have one of those turns where you have to stop and go, okay, I just completed a little plan I had for like 4 turns. Now I need to reset what the plan is.
Yeah,
do I buy a card now? Or do I just make money instead and then prep for the card later, right? And every now and then, like every few turns, you go, hold on. But otherwise, yeah,
That's
it's like, boom, okay, boom, 2 cards.
You guys are absolutely simply almost restating what I'm saying. Maybe I just wasn't as
I like
succinct.
that, though.
Yeah.
I see it as a positive. I agree with what you're saying. The game...
Well, I'm not really mentioning it as a negative. I just think people need to be aware that that's how the game plays.
Okay.
Yeah, it definitely is a quick... I like any game where instead of having 6 actions in your turn, you have 1. Go, 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 go.
Yeah.
I mean, at Century Spice Road, that same thing. Take a quick turn. I like that a lot. But back to player count, where I'm not sold on this game in player count, and again, I want to start out by saying I really do like the game, but these are just minor things. I'm not sold on the attacking other players in a multiplayer game. In a 2-player game, you attack the other player. That makes sense. I mean, because it's
hurting them,
and hurting them helps you. In a 3-player game, if I attack Sam, I'm hurting Sam, helping me, and helping Z. And it's more beneficial for me to help myself if possible. In a 4-player game, that gets even more diluted. Also, attacking someone in a 4-player game comes across as pretty mean, to the point where, let's say, I'm going to attack somebody. Z has a defense plan in his hand. I'm hitting Sam, right? And now you can say, well, that's Sam's fault for not getting a defense plan, but for a while I could be hitting him. You could be hitting him.
Literally, squirrel.
Yes.
I agree with the statement that I like it with 2. I like it with 2 the best. This is also true.
I did not dislike it with 3.
I liked it with 3. Fine, more. That's fine. It's slower, which I don't mind. That the turns just boom, 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 bounce back and forth. I like that. And yeah, the attacking, picking a player to attack is a little trickier of a situation at that point, right? You can always go for the aliens. That's fine. In a 2-player game, there's just more focus. I can worry about what you're doing. You're picking on me. I'm maybe dodging or picking back on you. I like that dynamic. This is true for the other games that this reminds me of also. These are not from the same designer. It's from the same company, not the same designer. But this game reminds me, and to me feels like 51st State Master Set and Imperial Settlers, with all being card-driven, 3 levels of stuff you put in front of you, attacking, but you don't just attack willy-nilly. There's got to be a reason, because you are giving up time and effort to do that, so don't just attack because you can, right? Technology, resource management, I mean, they feel linked. They're not, right, except for the companies, for the publisher, but I get the same feeling. And those games, definitely better with 2, for me, in my opinion. They're better with 2. I agree that this, I would say that this is best with 2 as well.
Now, is it a 4X game? I feel like, maybe it's just me, I almost feel like the attacking is tacked on, but the other 3 sections, the blue, green, red, the 3 sections, they're very different in many respects. It's like blue, victory points, green, resources, and red, attacking.
Red is the attacking.
Right, okay. So they feel different, and I like that. But they also all feel like tech. Now, I love tech in games. When I play a 4X game, if it doesn't have the X of the expand, if, make your tech better, then I'm not as interested in it. I love technology trees, and so I really like that about this game. But I feel like I'm making green techs, red techs, and blue techs. Right? I don't feel like there's the exterminate and expanding your empire or whatever. It's a clever card game that really could have been rethemed outside of space.
I think it's a clever adaptation of a 4X game into a card game. That's what I think it is.
I'll buy that.
I think red is you're building your fleets. That's.
I mean, I can definitely draw a parallel between all those 4Xs, and I don't even care about that stuff. Like, when these guys, I know a lot of people are like, is it really a 4X card game? And my first thought is, who cares? I don't care. It's a good card game.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't, I don't care that it fits in that box or not, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I do think it's pretty easy to draw correlations to those 4 X's.
Yeah.
But I think almost
Sam's saying,
I
like
think the
ships
correlation
attack,
is there
dude.
because
I
they
mean,
draw the lines. Like this
planets,
is
you
what
can
this is.
build them up on the one side and you're working, or you can exploit them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty, like, it's there. I think it's
blue
there.
is where you're gaining more points, and you're establishing different ways to help the other 2 things. I don't know. I think it's pretty there. I think there's pretty well demarked lines of differences there between those different X's. I agree
with that.
Well, where do you guys stand on the luck? Now, in this game, you can make your own luck, especially like searching the pile. You can search farther down the pile.
Yeah.
But the resources you draw, there's definitely luck there. When you attack, definitely luck there. You can mitigate it slightly, but you can also get hosed in that.
Yeah.
And then there's definitely luck when you're drawing for those victory point cards during the course of the game.
Yeah, and attacking big time.
Right. So where do you stand on that? Do you think it's the right amount, too much, too little?
I think it's fine. You're rolling a die.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. That is how they have simulated rolling a die without having a deck of dice. You know?
Or just a die in the box. It's literally all cards.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you flip a card, there's a number in the center. That's your die roll.
There's not really any difference there, I guess. Maybe it's less. Maybe it would. No, it doesn't. I don't think it feels any less random. It literally feels like that is the. That's taking the place of rolling dice.
And I also like that. This allows for easier expansion of the game. Where, like, I might have a card that says when you roll a die, draw 3 cards and pick one or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it's built right into the card, so it's a little bit easier to do that. I guess they could always make you roll a die 3 times or whatever, but, you know, they could also have you draw one and lock it, and you could use that as a fight later. Whereas you'd have to remember a die roll the other way.
True.
Again, this is all speculation, but I think the system works. Yeah, it's lucky. You're going out there with a bunch of ships trying to blow somebody up. And so I think it fits. If you don't want that, go for one of the more sound strategies. You know, go for one of the ones that are less push the other guy down to bring myself up, but, you know, you also don't get the luck. You can just build up nice and steady. Just do the thing that's right there on your card if you don't want the luck.
Right.
You can do that.
Yeah.
If you want to try to get a jump, you know, then yeah, you're going to have to gamble.
I like the fact that I think that there's pretty balanced ways for victory as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we pretty much established that military is a viable way to win. But you can get a whole lot of those tech cards operational, and they're firing you. I mean, I guess it would be a lot of work, but 8 points on one, 4 points on another.
Yeah.
So that's another viable way to win as well. I mean, you can. I think the first game that I played, I came in 2nd place, and I just really focused on having a lot of operational planets that I had a lot of resources under.
Right. Right.
So. I think it's a very well balanced, a very fun 4X card game. They did it. You know, I think they did exactly what they were trying to do.
Yeah, and the combat and locking down cards, I think really works well in this one. Whereas in games like, and again, I don't want to keep ringing the bell necessarily, but it's what it makes me think of. The other 2 games I mentioned, 51st State, Imperial Settlers. I think combat in those games, they both have it. I think it's very good. There's sometimes you need a real specific situation where you want to do it, because you are giving the other player something for attacking them. You're getting something. You're spending your turn doing it, but they get something too. Sometimes you blow up a card and they're like, "Thanks, I needed a new foundation. Now I can build this." In this one, it always feels like it never seems like I shouldn't attack you. If you want to attack and you think you'll do better with me than the aliens, yeah, attack. You're shutting my cards down. That's horrible. You know, especially like with last time we played, Sam was able to pinpoint a card. It's not that difficult. It's the one I've been using that is getting me points. Every time I push that button, I'm making some points. So he attacked me and shut down. That means I'm wasting turns getting that card back. You know, it just works. It's simplicity itself, the game.
Yeah.
And the manual does a really good job of displaying that.
Now, lest it sound like I'm negative on this, I don't. I like the the luck in it too. I think that works well. I like going through the deck. The deck cycling works really well. I think the cards, and I love that whole tech tree.
Another thing that you can do, you just kind of mentioned it, you can make that deck cycle through faster by just discarding cards and drawing up, and that draws that gives you less time to recover from what I'm doing to you. And so that's another cool dynamic.
I also really like the artifacts. They're hard to get, but you get one, and it's some really cool thing.
Yeah, actually, the alien artifacts part is probably my least favorite part of the whole thing, which is funny because it's the title of the game, but it's it's just one of those things that doesn't. You know, I almost think of it as like a last-ditch effort, really.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, okay, you know, this plan isn't working. I have enough to buy one of those alien artifacts. All right, let's see. Let's go all in here. And maybe it's something that really works for me. Maybe it's a card that doesn't really necessarily help me right now. They're all kind of big and splashy, but they're sort of in the background for me. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's advantageous for you to spend all those resources, because I think one person, like the guy I had last, you had to spend 10 of one kind of resource, and the one you had to spend 12
of anything.
And I don't think it's advantageous for you to do that.
To spend a 12.
But if you get the chance to get an artifact, like during an attack or something like that.
Oh yeah, sure.
That's the one you take. That's the one you take.
All right. Well, for me, I'm giving this 1.5 thumbs up, like a 7. I like the game. I feel like it doesn't scale well. I think it's better with lower numbers than higher numbers, especially with the attacking, and I feel attacking slightly felt tacked on to some degree, but I still really like the game. I think it's interesting. It reminds me of Race for the Galaxy.
Yeah.
I think of that more than Imperial Settlers.
Okay.
But at the same time, I'm very curious what everyone else is doing. I love that you take fast moves. I love the alien artifacts, finding some cool thing. I like the fact that the factions are not really asymmetrical. They are asymmetrical, but they're mostly just to point you towards a specific strategy. And I like that the strategies, as far as I can tell, seem to be equal in how good they are. So for me, it was fun. Not like blow my mind fun, but I did enjoy it. I know you like the best, so we'll go to you next.
I'm probably a little bit more than that. I'm just going to go ahead and round up to 2 thumbs up. I did enjoy it a lot. The first time I played it was at BGG, and while this is a little bit of a different game now, I still think it captures the same feel. You know, they kept clanging that bell. It's a 4X card game done in about an hour. I'm like, you're crazy. That's almost impossible. But they pulled it off, and I think the finished product that they have here now, what is it, a year and a half later, is admirable. It's exactly what they were shooting for, and it gives me that feel of a 4X game in an hour. So great job, kudos.
Yeah. As Tom said, Race for the Galaxy, 51st State, Imperial Settlers, all 3 in my top 100 games of all time. This is my kind of game. You know, that's the thing. The 4X, thing, not necessarily. I don't really. If you said, hey, look at this game, it's 4X, I would be like, nope, I'm good. Because they're long, typically. They're very involved, typically. This isn't that, so I don't even make that association. You say it's a 4X game, great. I enjoy what's happening in it, so I'll take it. Everything in it is fun. It works. It's quick turns. Artwork I really enjoy. The whole look, actually, it's very stylized. I really like the style in this game a lot. Yes, I prefer it with 2 players because I do like that bouncing back and forth. But that's how I like all those other 3 games I said the best. So maybe it's just a style of game thing, I think it's a fantastic card game. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this one. Give it a shot. It's a great, great game. I'm going to give it 2. And a little bit of a pinky. 2 thumbs up on this one. Really, really good stuff.
Alrighty, well that's that. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Zee Garcia. Thank you.
Sam Healey. See you on the flip side, folks. That where you will find the cover to our box.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.